I was once part of scholarship reviewers, and I know how the process of reviewing scholarship. And when it comes to CV, it can be reviewed within 5 to 6 seconds, and it depends on how you generate your CV. When your CV looks more attractive, that's where it will be reviewed more than 5 to 6 seconds. But when it's less attractive, it will not even take 3 seconds. So that is an area you have to know. So it's not all the time that it is reviewed under. So it's not all the time that it is reviewed. It's not that. Sorry, I was admitting someone. So it's not all the time that it is reviewed under 6 seconds or 5 seconds, but sometimes it is reviewed more than that, depending on how you design it. And again, too, companies or institutions employ service robot to review it. During sometimes they do so, and it's called ATS method. You also have a further discussion of it. And fancy email, that one day I think is very true. So when you use a fancy email, your CV mostly gets rejected because they see you as unserious person. And your grammar mistakes, yes, sometimes your grammar mistake may lead to rejection, but when your mistake is less, it won't. But when you make your mistake too openly known, it may lead to rejection. Picture or resume on a CV may lead to rejection. Well, what will I say? Picture on your CV is not that really necessary, and that cannot really lead to rejection, though. But as I said earlier, it's not necessary. And weird hobbies, well, that one I will leave it to the public to answer it. But the font type and font size, it depends. Some recruiters require specific font type and font size to use when designing your CV. Some of the recruiters require specific font type to use when designing your CV. So this is just the myth. And as you are discussing, if you're having any question, please you can draw my attention to it and we will just engage in it. Thank you. So let me still continue to share. Well, so again, too, here is some fact about CV and resume. So it's true, and there is no iota of doubt that about 75% of CV or resume, about 75% of CV or resume are rejected before they even reach the hiring manager. Again, too, about 75% of employers use applicant tracking system to filter CV, and only about 5 applicants out of 100 end face-to-face interview. This is very true. And about 60% of recruiters says that the ideal length of resume is 1 page for over 0 to 5 years experience. Well, so here is it. Let's now get to know the difference of CV and resume. Now you have the myth and some facts about CV and resume. Now let's get to know the difference between CV and resume, something that you have been contemplating of, something that can even disqualify you from your application. Imagine they are requiring you to send your CV and then you send your resume. And imagine them telling you to send your resume and you send your CV. That leads to rejection. And as I said earlier, I was once part of scholarship application reviewer. And there's one thing that was the first law. If an applicant did not provide the right document, take him off. That's the first law. If an applicant did not provide the right, so imagine you being an excellent student, even if you don't provide one, let's say, one referees, you will be disqualified. And I've seen it in countless time amount. So that's something you have to take note of. But here comes the case. How do you know that this is my CV and this is not, this is also a resume? So imagine it this way. All the time. So let's imagine it this way. all the time, CV is something that describes your whole life experience. So even if you were class prefect in NESO 1 and you wish to put it there, fine, you can put it there. Even if you were a player in JHS, SHS, you put it in your CV. Like it describes your whole life experience, something that recruiters are looking for. Class prefect in JHS, you were, I don't know what to think, like a whole lot, those special positions, you put it on, you receive an award in your JHS, in your SHS, in your primary, all of them, you put it on your CV. So that's one thing about CV. So approximately CV are very long. It can go even to 15 pages, depending. A mentor sent me his CV to use as something I will use to generate mine. And surprisingly, it was 17 page. That's when I really learned that yes, CV is not something we've been thought of earlier that it's mostly 2 page, 1 page. But here lies the case for resume. Resume is like a concise, or let me say, a summarize of your CV. Resume does not take enough space. Most especially, as I said, some fact of resume is that resume is most from 0 to 5 years experience. Resume has to take like 1 page. That means that it's full of summary. You get it? So that is the main difference between CV and resume. See a CV as your whole life experience and a resume as a summary of it. So from now onwards, if you're designing your CV, knows that it carries all your achievements in it. So let's give a gist of it. You see, CV is known as, or let's say the actual meaning of CV, as people mostly say, is curriculum vitae or curriculum vitae, as many people may suggest or give the name to. That's it. And it is more detailed, always more than 3 pages. It could include all academia criteria from BC to PhD, as I said it. And it includes professional experience and skills. So maybe in your junior high school, you developed something or you won an award in debate. In your junior high school, let's say class 3, you did a quiz competition between class 4 and you won it. You can keep it in your CV. So you discuss all your professional skills, experience, an award, and articles you've written, and include all presentations. Let's note of it. You see, so that makes CV very big, but the resume usually 1 to 2 pages. The maximum is 3 pages. Only relevant for criteria like masters and PhD or for lecturing job. So those are the difference. Now let's come here. And this is just the description of what I said earlier. CV and resume, just CV being a detailed document, whilst resume being a concise summary of skills. So let's move on. But before I come here, let's discuss the types of CV. So I think the most common form of CV writing is called the chronological method, where you arrange your skills or experience from the latest one to the previous, or let me say, from the latest one to the one you already did lower. So it starts like this. Let's say for your schooling system, you are now in university. So on your CV, you don't just have to say maybe education. Once you are describing your educational background, you just start with JHS. I attended maybe St. John of the Cross. Then you now jump to university. I attended UDS. Then you now come to senior high school. You see, it's not well arranged. The chronological method starts from what you are currently at. So you start from your university, the school you are at, the university you attend, then your SHS, the SHS you attend, and then to your GHS, you can also add your primary as well. So that's the chronological method from the highest to the lowest, from where you are currently to where you were before. So it can be from, let's say, the articles you've published. In your CV, you don't have to just say an article you published 2018. Then you come and state an article you published in 2021. Then you come again and state the article you published in 2025, just in misarranged form. But rather start from 2025, 2021, then 2018 in that manner is something recruiters always give attention to. When you don't arrange your CV that way, boom, it goes to the bin. So now let's see what CV actually holds. So CV has about 10 key subjects it should hold in every CV. But I think the maximum is 8, maximum out of here, which we are entitled to right now, because since we are in university and senior high student, some may not be in publication and some too may not be in any research field. So, but aside that, all the rest has to be there. So you have to be in one of them. The first one is personal detail. The second is summary profile. The third is academic credential. The fourth is professional work or experience. The fifth, award, sixth, conference or workshop or seminar or presentation. Then the seventh, publications. 8, memberships. 9, research interests. 10, referees. Even as sometimes I've seen a CV where you include your mentees in it. So even in my CV, I have a part for my mentees where I will show these are my mentees. That is how CV should look, but that one is not very necessary, as I said earlier. So now let's see. So this was a chronological form. So you list most important responsibility and success. And also you have to use a powerful action or statement to describe your role. CV has to be dealt with powerful action verbs. I accomplished, I achieved, I assisted. So I remember telling some of my friends that in your CV you can include that you've taught. You've taught. Some may say, oh, unless I become a teaching assistant before I can include it in my CV. But you see, maybe you taught a friend something in your university in class, at SHS, you taught someone something, included as teaching experience. So you can say, I assisted students. You see those verbs, action verbs, sounding like yes, or you get it. And also you described, I implemented a project. I was part of, I analyzed a research work. We formulated an experiment. You see, you put it in some action verbs to grab attention of recruiters. Well, let's now come to the 10 things that needs to be in a CV. So let's make it. I'll be on this so that we finished early. So the first thing is your personal statement. This includes necessary files. Your personal statement includes it's something that is describing you. Of recent, I entreated all my mentors. Let me accept this. So, of recent, I entreated all my mentees to send me their CVs to review it. I just wanted to see how they see CV from their point of view. Well, I reviewed most of them and I saw a lot of errors in it. Here was one error I saw from a mentee. The mentee began the CV with no name. Can you believe it? He began the CV with no name. So I was like, in the first place, how will a recruiter know the one he's even reviewing the CV or the one is working on a CV or the one who is applying. You see, your first expression that classify or that dignify your human dignity is your personal details. And the first thing is your name. So imagine not putting your name there. How would they know that it is you? So formally, your name on your CV must match with the name on your birth cert, the name on your educational institution, and the name of your on your certificate. That's one mistake I've seen people doing. I'm called Odoy Douglas, you see, and I'm called Douglas Odoy. Do you know that it's just two different things? Or I'm called Al Hassan Muhammad Saidu, and I am called Muhammad Saidu Al Hassan, and I'm called Saidu Al Hassan Muhammad. My friend, they are all different names. So let's make these checkups. I've seen someone who is having, let's say, Al Hassan Muhammad Saidu as his name on his certificate, one of his certificate, let's say, on his agri improvement certificate, the name on it is Saidu Muhammad Al Hassan, and on his CV is Muhammad Saidu Al Hassan. So you see, someone like this, if you are presenting or showing your CV to people and telling them that I have received this kind of awards, and when recruiters check the awards, the name on it and the name on your CV, and it's not matching, but carries all the exact words, you have to know that they are going to ignore it. They are going to say that's not you. Me personally, I've been a victim of it. In my senior high school, I received this award from robotics competition, which was Odoy Douglas. Well, I've been using Douglas Odoy for most of my staffs on my CV, through my educational journey. Even the name that the university has registered me is Douglas Odoy, but that certificate is issued Odoy Douglas. So now you see, it's a whole different thing. It's now like a trash certificate. So let's keep it to it. Your name is very important. And again, to your residential address, I would say it's not that much necessary, but you can keep it on your personal details. Your email address is a must. It has to be there because that's the formal way recruiters will reach out to you. Your phone number, sure, it has to be there, but begin it with your country code. So begin your phone number with your country code. And for your email address, please, let's use a professional email, not I love you at 123, not God of War at 729 at gmail.com, but rather your full name, aliumana at gmail.com, Frank Jato 34 at gmail.com. You see, those are the appropriate and professional emails we have to use. But well, your date of birth, your gender, your marital status, language. Okay, language is not that important at personal statement, but it can come later on. So let's say your date of birth, gender, sex, marital status. These are all not important on your personal details. They don't need them. They don't need them. So you can keep it though, but I won't advise that you should put it there. So after this session, I will show you a sample of a CV and how it is structured so that we all have a fair idea of how it is written. So, a summary profile. I remember this thing has really got me tracked somewhere before. Profile, a summary of your profile. So, for the past days, people were not encouraged to use profile on their CV, but I realized that nowadays recruiters look at the profile because the profile describes like the whole you before they even go deeper in your CV. So it's a necessary file that has to be there. So look at this way. Your profile has to describe who you really are, your interest, your experience, what you've been through, your impact. Like you have to make sure that they are all included in your summary profile. But well, make it concise. Your profile don't have to just take a full page on your CV, but rather it has to be a little concise in it. So Let's see. You see, your profile statement highlights your education, your work, other experience, award that connect you to the position you are seeking. So there is a saying that the CV that you send to school A should not be the CV that you send to school B. Well, let me profile it in this way. The CV that you send to job A should not be the CV that you should send to job B. So, for instance, you are an engineering student, you offered mechanical engineering, and you're going to seek for job at Ghana Good Site. The CV that you send to Ghana Good Site, a good site should not be the CV that you send to
Hello, Mr. Odoy. Hello, we have the Lakim.
Yeah, I'm having a question for him, but I don't know whether he has dropped off.
I think then his network is somehow. I think it's his
Or
network.
you answer it.
Hey, you can ask it though. Maybe those here someone might have an idea, or you can even ask and
Yeah.
answer it yourself.
Okay, so I think he was talking about sending like the same CV to different schools.
Okay,
So I think let's say I'm I'm pursuing this in computer science. So
okay,
let's say after my 4 years stay in the university, I'm going to specialize, let's say, in data science.
okay,
And let's assume what's the name? Like University A in the US is offering maybe masters in data science, then University B2 is equally offering masters in computer science. But then maybe there are some kind of similarities in like their research work and all of that.
okay,
So probably the CV that I'm going to send to either of these two schools is likely to share some kind of similarities. So in that case, if I'm sending like the same CV to these two schools, will I be wrong in doing that? I
okay.
don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I've got I understood what you are trying to say, but maybe let's
Yeah.
wait for him to come and answer it, or you have any view to that, so you can help us with it. Abdelakim, Odoy,
yes,
I think someone has question for you, so maybe the person
okay,
can. Abdelakim,
please, you can,
Dollars.
yes, please.
Yes. So my question is that I think you were talking about sending like the same CV to different schools. For the job aspect, I think I'm convinced over there. But
Yeah,
coming to talk about the schools aspect, so let's say in the US, I'm applying for maybe masters in data science in University A. Then I'm applying for the same masters in another university, maybe say University B. But
okay,
then they kind of share some kind of similarities in their data science program. So
okay.
if I'm sending my CV, then I'm sending that same CV to University A and University B. Will I be wrong in doing that?
Hello, Hakim. Hello,
Yeah,
Mr.
Douglas.
Hakim. Okay, yes, I cannot hear you. So please, I got lost at if I'm sending a CV.
So I
Hello,
should pick it from there.
yes, please.
All right. So I was asking if I am sending that same CV to like the two schools at the same time, will I be wrong in doing that? Since they are all this kind of offering the same program, maybe the universities varies, but some too share some kind of similarities in their research work and all of that. So if I'm sending the same CV to these two schools, will I be
Well,
wrong in doing?
I think your network is breaking. So if I may get you, you are asking let's say you are sending just one CV to two schools. Would you be wrong with that? Or
Yes, yes.
actually, you'll not be wrong with that. You will not be wrong with that. Just that maybe for school A that you are sending your CV in your summary profile, how you see you have to channel your summary profile in a way to somehow link your passion or your interest in that school objectives. So when you are sending that same thing to school B, maybe your the objectives of school A will be different from that of school B. You just have to check that area. But your CV there, it has to carry the same content, just that your summary profile is where the gist come in. But if you want, you can choose not to include your summary profile in your CV. That one there you can send it to all those schools. But if you are interested in putting a summary profile there, at least you have to make the later part of the summary profile discuss the organization you are going in, something small about it. That's where the gist come in. So I don't know if your question is really answered.
Yes, I think you've answered it, but there's a follow-up question. So let's assume I'm going
Hello,
to
network check. Okay.
Douglas, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes. So I'm asking, let's assume I'm going to do a research, maybe relating to machine learning and AI. Then I've realized that both schools are actually into those two things. Then I've actually captured those two things on my CV. Like I've actually highlighted on those two things. So in that particular instance, can I still use that same CV for these two schools?
Please, Akim, come again.
Yes.
It's like
So I,
I was having network challenges.
yes. So what I'm trying to put across is that let's assume like the two schools that you want to apply to, they are all kind of how will I put it? Like they are all showing like much interest in maybe machine learning and AI. Then you've actually identified that as a key factor in their this, how like their mission or vision in that particular school. Then you've actually captured that like clearly on your CV. So will you be right to send that same CV to like both schools?
Well, a
Douglas?
research and found out that they all want. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah,
please,
I
can you
can.
hear? Please, Vincent, can you hear me? Am I out of network? Hello.
Douglas, you can hear you.
All right. So if you are sending that same CV, but you've made research, you know that all of them are carrying the same objectives, well, you can send it to them. There's nothing wrong with that, please. Hope is well answered.
All right, sure.
Sure. So, Mr. Vincent Dose, please, you have the podium is yours.
I was trying to partly answer the question. You have to be quite careful in doing that because you don't know, since the schools are entirely different, although they have the same perspective of offering the same course, but they may have entirely different cultures, and it will be it won't be I think it will be it's hard to tell if uh, they're they're all streamlined in that direction, in a sense that you won't be able to know exactly the distinction between the schools. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yes.
Though they may have this the same kind of like culture relating to how they pick students from maybe different. So you have to be very it's CV to two schools. It may be similar, but maybe for me, I think you have to do a little adjustment before you send. Because if you send that same CV, it will be a problem.
So if I'm not mistaken, what you're saying, so let's assume you've actually conducted the research and you've realized that just like you stated earlier on, like they are all heading towards, if possible, not the same direction, but similar direction. Then here is the case. You are saying you have to make an adjustment. So aside the name of the university and maybe some other things that has to do with the university itself, like which particular place specifically do you think the adjustment should be done?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Well, to admit, you wouldn't do any huge change to your CV. If it is true that the university, both universities, have the same perspective, uh, like what I'm trying to say is that the change shouldn't be so big, but there still has to be some change in it. Because if you're, from my perspective, I think it would be quite hard to win a scholarship with a CV in two schools with no change each of the CV. You just do it and then you use it for the same school, then it will work. For me, I don't think it will work. There has to be a smooth change because all the schools have um, similar perspective. They have each schools were established differently. They have their history, different sets of history that they followed. So if you and I quite remember that last week when we were doing the discussion about the SOP, he mentioned that you need to do research about that university that you're trying to enter. You need to do a lot of research about it. If you do research, you know you get to know more about the history, about the professors. I mean, you can't tell me that the professors in in two schools will have be inclined in a same direction in the way of um how they accept people into the university. Do you say that?
Well, I think
Hello?
Saint has given a nice contribution. So let's hear
So
from Al Hassan.
so I think Abdulhakim has dropped or
Something like that.
he has dropped, and he's the one who asked the question.
Yes, please. But we are all learning. So
Okay, okay.
you,
So I think what he was saying, he was having a point because a Vincent. Okay, let me continue. So I think what Abdulhakim was saying, he was having a point because I think at this juncture it's like we are now like dilemma about the SOP and that of the CV. If actually, please Vincent, can you mute your side so maybe when I'm done. Uh-huh. So I think we are now dilemma about the SOP and the CV because actually the CV is just something uh that speaks about you. It is the I quite remember that one lecture told us that CV is actually an abstract of you. It is a representative of you in a such a way that if anyone picks the CV, the person should be able to identify you when the person meets you in person. So it's just something that describe you, your achievements, the skills that you possesses, what you've done, like the researches and the interest that you have. So I think that's basically what the CV is. So what Abdulhakeem was saying, if actually the two universities you are applying to, the courses are the same or they are similar, even if they are not the same, but they are similar. All of them is about data science or data analysis. Like basically, or like when you do your research very well, you know that most of them require basically the same skills. For example, if it is data science, maybe you need Excel experience, you need SPSS experience, you need Python. So all these experiences, if you have it in your CV, there's no need to change it. But where I think that when you're applying for different schools and you're supposed to change them is when the courses are requiring different kind of skills. Then maybe with that one, you have to change the skills that suits it. For example, you've done a research about post-service, but now you are applying to one school in a course that is having to do with post-service, and another school you are applying for irrigation. So you can't mention your experience, the research that you did in post service to the course that you are going to do to the school that you are going to do irrigation. So they need for that one there you have to remove the post service research something in your CV. But aside that, in your CV, you are not going to mention any school, you are not going to mention any professor in there. There's no specification. You are just everything about the CV is just about you. Like just describe yourself, like pick it in a such a way that if anyone picks the CV, the person should be able to tell that okay, this person that is coming is very good in Python, the person can do this, the person can do this based on this and this, the person attitude is like this. So I think basically that's it. So I think Abdulakim was actually saying something which I can agree, because per what I also know, to the best of my knowledge, I think you can actually send the same CV
Well,
to different
that's also
schools. Abdulhakim.
okay. So Hakim, you come in before I come.
Yeah, so with regards to that, I think Douglas was trying to establish the fact that you can send the same CV for different jobs at different companies. So therefore, you can send the same CV to different universities for different programs. So I think for the job market aspect, it's applicable. But for the university aspect, if the universities are kind of sharing almost the same thing, for that one, you can use the same CV. But for the job aspect, even if the companies are related, but then their requirements will still differ. So for that one, I really doubt it if you can use like the same CV for maybe even if you are applying for the same job at different companies. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So well noted. Very much. I think we are all learning here. So let me make it clear. This all happens during the summary profile. That's the summary profile. So let me continue sharing the screen. So it's all about the summary profile. And during the summary profile was like part of your summary profile, you are describing it's like adopting part of your SOP there. So the same CV can be adjust it to match your the company or the school you are applying to. So you see, some a sample of the summary profile is Nancy is a dedicated and result-driven professional offering progress ideas, blah 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 blah. So here, if you see the later part, she said her overall goal is to improve the quality of life of many people as possible. So let's see.
Hello, Douglas. E. Dog. Al- Abdulhakim.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
All right. So sorry, I was facing a network challenge. So I think that's what I have to suggest. Any suggestion too would be welcome. Thank you.
I
So
think we
now
didn't get
let's
what you were presenting on that one. So I think you can take it again for us.
for the Nancy's own.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was sharing a screen about a sampled summary profile. So this is a summary profile of Miss Nancy, where she began. Nancy is a dedicated and result-driven professional, often progressive idea, blah, 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 blah. Then when you look at the later part, you see he said her overall goal is to help improve the quality of life of as many people as possible. So in this area, someone picking the CV, reading this later part, may think that Nancy is like a health specialist or a philanthropist or something else. So you see, let's say Nancy has two degrees, her first degree and second degree. Her first degree in medical science and a second degree in agricultural engineering. So let's say Nancy used this CV. His CV is just the same, just that this summary profile, he used this CV with this kind of summary profile for a job in health sector. And I'm saying that in this aspect, let's say he's also applying another job with a second degree, which is agricultural engineering. It will be more advisable for Nancy to use the same CV with this summary profile. Well, she can adjust the summary profile to suit that of what? An agricultural engineering in that manner. This is what I'm trying to establish at the summary profile. But the actual fact is that CV almost contain all the same content. But sometimes your summary profile has to adjoin with the institution or the company or the school you are getting to, something like that. At the later part, that's what I'm trying to establish here. So I don't really know if you get my point of view for this summary profile something. Thank you very much. So we may take any question that contradicts. So at this juncture, I think we are good to move on, right? So we are far beyond time. Let's get it going. Here comes the academic credentials. So for your academic credentials, I stated earlier, it has to be in a chronological method. State your educational history in a reverse chronological order. So from your university, then to your senior high, then to your junior high, and possibly maybe primary. And also, you have to indicate graduation dates. Is it a degree or diploma? Name the institution where you received it. So let's say University for Development Studies, date 2023 to 2027. So some can make it 2023 dash present. That means that they are still in senior high school. You put it there. Your junior high too, you put it there. The name, the date, and the kind of certificate you received. So the university you can include BSc Mechanical Engineering. Your senior high school, you include your West African Senior Certificate Examination. Then your JHS, Basic Education Certificate Examination. That's how it has to be. So as an example, there's an example here. Mainfield Food Microbiology, State the university, the date. You see, this one BSc Food Science, the university, the date, same as the WASI. And also, you have to highlight your professional work experience. The professional work experience you've engaged in, you have to highlight it as well. So for the professional work, so for the professional work experience, highlight the relevant work experience in a reverse chronological order. Include the title, name of the organization. So let's say maybe you engage in a research work. So the topic of the research, the date, is it, are you still doing it? Is it present or you've ended it? And for some research work, you have to even show the journals you publish them in on your CV. Those are for that. You have to also list work experience, internship, volunteers on campus. So you see, you may be involved in, let's say, a club or let's something like Better Dream Foundation, which is a non-profit organization. You keep it in your CV. You get it. You are involved in MESA, that's Mechanical and Industrial Engineering Student Association. You keep that thing in it. That's an organization you've been to. Well, let's come to internship aspect. You did your internship at Ghana Water Company. You have to keep that in. You did your internship at Electrical Company of Ghana. You keep it in. Experience. What has been your experience? Maybe I've been in leadership position. I was an advisory board. I was part of committees established to help in academia in my department. You see, all those things are things that is necessary in your CV. And also, whilst doing that, you have to include action verbs are implemented. So here are some of the action verbs that are necessary to be used: accomplished, achieved, implemented, formulated. You see, developed, managed, initiated, directed, I solved. So those are the kind of action verbs you have to use to sound, you see, more realistic and heavy. Now let's come to publication, which I will not spend much time here because almost most of us are not into it as well. So the publication, as I stated, you have to state the the name of the work you published, and you have to also state the journal. So you see in this place, he stated the journals, the journal he published the work in. All of them, you have to state it there. And also your OCID too can be stated on your CV. And also let's chip in it with conference so that we jump and move on to the 8 years and see a sample of CV because we are far beyond time. So for the conference and seminars you've attended, so it's advisable that you attend more seminars and conferences while you're in school. You attend more seminars and conferences whilst you are in school. So these seminars and conferences that you attended, you have to include it on your CV. So I attended, what do you call it? Irrigation IOAC seminar. I attended AI seminar, AI conference. You see, all those things, include it in your CV. And the seminars, workshops you attended. I attended a physics workshop at KUST. I attended a leadership seminar in Accra, a leadership forum in my community, in my region. All of those, you have to include it there. So you see how it has to be arranged. And last but not the least, referees. And this is one of the most important things that people mostly don't give attention to. You see, your referees is like a confirmation to the CV, let's say the reviewing board. Because if you said you've done all this, who is to confirm it? They will call your referee, test him on email, blah, 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 blah. Is that true? Oh, yeah, that's true. So here's one thing we mostly get caught in it. We don't always tell our referees that you are using them as a referee on our CV. So imagine using me, Douglas, as your referees, and you've not told me that, oh, Douglas, I've used you as my referee in my CV. Immediately you said you've used me, I'll tell you to just send me the CV. so that I will view what is there. So if I don't really know that I'm a referee and the committee calls or test me, and they are telling me that this guy said he did this, which I know maybe you did it, but which I know that you've not done it. Referees, to most of them, they are just for, they will say, oh no, maybe he has not been engaged in such work. You see what you've caused yourself. So it's most advisable to contact those you are using as a referees, and also send the sample CV to them to also review it. So, and the form of a referee has to be in their name, their department they are in. You state it. You give their email, and also you give their telephone contact. So for instance, let's say you are using Madam Juliana as your referee, who is a school officer for School of Engineering. So you state Miss Madam Juliana, then the position school officer for School of Engineering. Then you now come in, email, you put her email there. Then you now come her telephone number. You keep it there. So that's the structure of how a referee should be. So as you can see, this one, Dr. Pa Kwesi Joseph, that's the name. Her position or something he's engaging, research scientist, Food and Drugs Authority. Then where he is doing it, Thailand. Then you bring the email and the telephone number. That's how it's supposed to be. And remember, a referee is mostly advisable not to use a family member or relatives. You have to use a non-relative personnel for your referees. That's what is mostly advisable. Again, let's come to the most interesting part, ATS. So let's say there is a myth that we use robots to review CV. It's a myth that some applications uses robots to review CV. Well, that comes in with ATS. ATS is one of the popular tools, and it's called applicant tracking system. So you see, some companies get about of applications, and they can't review all by themselves, all by merely human. So there has been a system that has been developed, which is called ATS, applicant tracking system. Some also call it ATS resume or something else. So this applicant tracking system, actually, me, I heard of it last year, June. And after putting my CV in the applicant tracking system, I scored 35. Then I remember that this is a horrible CV. So you see, you will never know that your CV is extremely horrible until you test it with applicant tracking system. And they have a lot of free applicant tracking system. Okay, there is a question from Abdul Hakim. So Hakim, you come in before I continue.
Yeah, Douglas. So I think when you were doing the presentation on the free side, I think at the ending part of it, my network was kind of not being stable. So I wanted to ask a question on that. So you see, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So like on the referee side,
Mm-hmm.
most of the times. A lot of we students find it difficult to actually pinpoint who we should put as a referee on our CVs.
Okay.
And also, at times, too, I've realized that some of the people that we put on board, like, they are kind of not active. So they hardly reply to maybe some urgent kind of emails or calls and all those kind of things. So if you happen to encounter yourself in such situation, how do you handle it? And
Well,
also, let's say we are students and we have student leaders. So can you put your colleague student who is a student leader as your referee on your CV?
okay, nice one there. Thank you very much for the question, and that's nice. So if I may get you well, your question is in two folds. One, some referees have very difficult, or say they are too busy to vehemently and cohesively communicate with them, which sometimes leads to delay in response. So how will you deal with such people? And also, can you put a colleague student to it? So let me begin from this area, a colleague student. Let me begin from the later part. I won't advise you to use a colleague student. Well, you can use it though, but I won't advise you. Here's why I won't advise you. The referees has to be, see, the position of a referee has to be highly standard, like more highly standard. So a colleague student, similarly having the same qualification as you, let's say we are all undergrad, using him as a referee is not that well advisable, because you are meaning that above all the people you've seen in this world, above all the people on your campus, above all the lectures that teaches you, like above all people you've met from JHS, SHS, university, you've got no teacher to put as your referees other than your colleague student. Well, the scholarship committee may see you as if though, from my point of view, they may see you as if though you are not that, you see, that well engaged personnel. So I won't advise that. So Lazarus will come back to you as well, and Vincent will come back to you. And for people who are high, those people you use for your fee, some of them are difficult to meet. So here is it: establish relationship with them. You need them as your referees. So you have to establish a relationship with them. Like, some may be too highly engaged, but you have to establish a relationship with them in a manner that, you see, the referees may be your keyhole to your success. So if you don't establish that kind of relationship with them, for them to at least during their less busy schedule, they will revert to you, it's going to be some way. So imagine your referees is finding it difficult to even communicate with you. How much more do you think he will find it readily available to write a recommendation and send to a scholarship committee? You see, basically, you are digging your own hole. Basically, you are digging your own grave or hole. Okay, that thing has suggested something. So, in my suggestion, just look around. You get people who, let's say, are of more highly who has been ahead of you and really understand your field of studies and are really willing to help you. Use those people as your referees, because you have to use a referees that will vehemently respond to your message somehow at his less busy time, because that fully attests to how he also write recommendations for you. Think this is the best I can give you for now, but anything else will come later. Thank you very much. So, Lazarus, please make your question very simple so that we finish the applicant tracking system and move on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, yes, I last went for a seminar, Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, and they told us how they want their CV to look like. Okay. So I don't know, every institution or organization, do they have, like, how will you know, like, this is the kind of CV, this is the style it should be, like what they really want? Yes.
Well,
that's my question.
That's very interesting. So, Vincent, come in with your question before we adjust it.
Okay, thank you. So I want to ask, should the referee be a person who knows more about you? Should the referee be a person who knows, a lot about you? And I don't seem to agree with the part that you said you can't include a family member in as your referee, in a sense that maybe in your in a university that you're in, you may have a family member as a prominent person in the school, or maybe not necessarily your family member. Maybe you attend the same church with the person and they kind of like know you a lot. So will it be wrong to include such a person as your referee?
Well, Thank you very much for your question. So let me begin with what Lazarus asked. So you see, the question that Lazarus asked, I think we've already discussed it earlier. And as I said earlier, you see, every organization, some of them has a way of bringing or submitting your CVs to them. You see, so imagine an organization like GMPC, the CV that you submitted to almost most companies or most schools, you are submitting that same CV to GMPC. You may do yourself a hurt. You have to also revert that organization, see the way they want their CV to do. Although it may carry the same content as your CV is having, but just that the arrangement may be different from what they expect. So sometimes too, you have to look at that aspect. So Lazarus, we agree with you. Some organization indeed wants CV to be done in a specific way of which they recommend. So it's mostly advisable to also take that one. But well, they will almost carry the same content as your main CV. So you just have to just revert it and see something off from it. And back to Vincent. So let me share this screen so that I can answer your question very well. So you asked a question that, let's say, I don't know if you can see me. Oh no, it can't be seen. Sorry. Yeah, let me share it again. I was trying to share. Okay. So I think I have to admit some. You asked a question. Can Sorry, I have to admit some people now. Okay. So let's continue. So Mr. Vincent, you asked a question that you don't really agree to me when I said that family members cannot review CV, cannot be a referee to your CV. Well, so let me see the referee's part. So here is it. You see, a family member, you started with family member, but you ended up with your pastor or a church member within your CV, someone who has known you for long. So I will say that a church member. Listen, can you
Well,
mute yourself?
well,
Okay, we are asking a question. Or I guess I should continue. So a church member can fully also be a referee. So if you see this referee, Reverend
no.
Father,
Hello,
okay,
hello, Douglas.
yes, please.
No, I was saying, maybe you have a person in a university.
Uh-huh.
That person is maybe a senior lecturer, and then he's your church member, like you're super close to that person.
Okay,
And will it be wrong to include such a person,
okay, it
or
will
maybe
not be wrong.
your family member? It's maybe your uncle. He's maybe he's also a lecturer in a university, and due to the bond, he knows your creativity, your lifestyle,
Yeah.
and he knows a lot about you.
Okay.
Will it be wrong to include it?
All right. So I think you've asked two questions, all of it one, of which one is okay. That will come back to you. Of which one is will a close person to you. Let's say the person is your church member and also close to you in school. Maybe he's teaching you or something else. Yes, that person is the kind of person who can best represent your referee. Person like that who really knows you, like he can best represent as your referee. But for me, the second question, but for me, for what I've seen from most applications, they always require that person who is your referee should not be a family member. That's something, let's say, I have seen it on regular basis because as part of my scholarship that I was reviewing, the scholarship application I was reviewing, I realized that the first law they gave me that when the referee is a family member, boom, it should not be considered. So that's where I also learned that referees that are close to your that are like family members are not advisable. But well, in some instance, well, that's why I say well in some instance. You see, every scholarship or let's say every opportunity or job offer may vary. So for that scholarship application I was reviewing, I saw that maybe it may vary with different one. But for my point of view and what I've seen, I would say no, but it can vary. It can be that some of them may require it. So it's most advisable to research about that application offer. I think they may pinpoint it somewhere. You know if you are to use it or not. Thank you very much. Hakim, go on so that I think Joseph raised his hand.
Yeah, Douglas. So I think I have something to also say a bit about what recent. So
Okay.
I think in this particular situation, you are using the person. Let's say if the person is your brother, then at the same time the person is a senior lecturer in the university. At that particular point in time, you are using him as a senior lecturer to you and not a brother. And I'm not sure, like on the reference side, you are supposed to put as whether the person is your uncle or brother or something like on your CV. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
I get what you are meaning. So
Uh-huh.
yes, you are very right. So I remember a mentor told me this that most of the scholarship recruiters they don't really know much about you. They don't really know this and this about you. You are the one going to tell them about you. So in your referees, if you are able to state it clearly to distinguish the fact that the person is not directly relative, but this and this to you, well, it's accepted. It's accepted. But let's imagine the scholarship or that application of fact claims that no relatives involved. But you know he's your relative, but you use him as a referee based on he being a senior lecturer. And later on they found out. That means that it will be a mess to you. But well, if you can play along that side, you are good to go. That's how. But you have to check through the scholarship recruiters